Wednesday night Broadway style burlesque class. So we're going to start this section with the 8-count musical interlude between verses 1 and 2. So I'm going to step forward on my right, pivot, step forward again on my right, and pivot. So this 8 counts is going to be step, turn, which brings us facing the audience back to where we started. So my hands are just going to counter, just like if I was walking. So I step forward on my right foot, my left hand comes in front. As I pivot, my hands switch. And again, I'm gonna step, so I change my hands, and then turn and step forward. All right, so for these next 8 counts, it's gonna start with slick your hair and wear your buckle shoes. For the hold, we're gonna shimmy our shoulders just a little bit. So it's not a full shimmy. We're just gonna kind of gently bounce our shoulders. And then for all that jazz, I'm gonna collect my feet. My weight is still on the left, my right foot is free. My left hand is gonna be on my hip, and my right hand is gonna come to the other hip in this open position. So I'm gonna do a flourish with my hand as I grind my hips to the side. So I'm going to step and step and. So in order to create that motion with my hips, my knees have to be able to bend. So I don't want to lock my knees straight. I want to keep them loose so that I can bring my pelvis around. So practice this by going forward, side, back, side. Forward, side, back, side. And notice when you do that, how your knees have to initiate that movement. So as I bend this knee, it brings the hip down, and as I straighten it, it forces the hip back up. So we need to be loose in our knees in order to create this grinding motion with our hips. So for all that jazz, left hand on the hip, right hand is gonna do our flourish, and we're gonna go side, side. Here we go. Forward, turn, slick your hair, side and hold, shoulders, grind to the side. All right, so for our second line, we're gonna turn to the side, one hand, 2 hands, so this is gonna make our trumpet, and then we're gonna play our trumpet out, in, out, in. Please don't correct me on how to play a trumpet. Don't you love a good trumpet? So now I'm gonna take my hands, I'm gonna shimmy my hands down to my sides, which is gonna prepare me for all that jazz, and I'm gonna repeat that hip grind I did for the first section, forward and forward and. So it's step, together, my left hand is doing my flourish. My right hand will come to my hip on this side. So I'm doing the same motion I did before, just to the front and initiating with my left foot. One hand, 2 hands, blow the blues. Hands come down. So from here, we're gonna reach. So I'm reaching with my left foot, and my hands are gonna come out. So it's my left hand, left foot, right hand is coming forward. So this prepares me to turn and wrap my body with my arms. So I'm keeping the weight on my right foot here, and I want it kind of on the ball of the foot, not on the heel, so that it's easy for me to pivot this way. I'm gonna keep my center over that right foot when I pivot so that I'm nice and balanced. I don't wanna get myself split weight here or move on to my left foot, because that's gonna create some balance issues. So instead, I'm gonna hold my weight over my right foot and wrap my arms around my body. Now for bunny hug, I'm gonna rotate out, in, out, in. So you'll notice when I go out, I'm straightening that right knee. When I come in, I'm bending the knee That creates a little bit of a level here. So it's going to be reach, wrap, and bunny hug. So from here, we're going to get our aspirin at United Drug. So I'm going to finally shift my weight to my left foot. My left arm is going to remain wrapped around my body, and my right hand is going to sweep up, touch my forehead. Oh goodness, I need my aspirin. Ah, headache. And then my hand is going to dive forward as my posture comes back up. So notice I'm kind of sinking into that as my hand comes to my forehead, and then straightening as my arm dives back down. If you've got any problems with your knees or any issues doing that, you can go ahead and do it standing up. But to get the full look of the choreography, I want to see that dip and straighten. Reach, wrap, and bunny hug. Shift your weight. Dive. Good. So for shake apart, I'm going to do hip bumps. So I'm doing 3 of them. So when I say bump, I'm talking about this sharp hit to the side. So remember, for our grinds, we talked about bending and straightening the knees to create that movement. We're doing the exact same thing here, but it's going to be sharper. I'm going to, as my knees bend and straighten, you could see how my hips move up and down. So in order to create those hits, I'm going to straighten the right knee and let the hip pop out to the side, straighten the left knee, straighten the right knee. So if you need a little bit more, a way to visualize how this movement works, imagine that you just got out of the car, your hands are full of groceries, and you need to close the car door, and you're going to bump the door with your hip. So you're pushing your hip to the side. Bump, bump, bump. So we're going to do 3 of those, and our arms are going to come over our head for 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do 2 more bumps to the front. So I'm going to angle my hips forward and pop up this knee. So I want this nice diagonal now with my hips. Don't bring the foot forward without tilting your hips to the side, because that's how we're going to get that nice hip angle. And my hands are going to come, this hand to my hip, this hand behind my head. So it's left hand hip, right hand behind the head. So what we've got is bump, 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 and bump, bump. From there, we have all that jazz. So since my left foot is already in front, I'm going to do modified showgirl walks. So I'm going to cross in front as I collapse my body down, and as I stand up, I'm going to point my foot to the side. So try and keep your arms nice and strong here, because we're doing collapse, so they go loose, everything goes loose, and point. Collapse and point. So let me take a few steps back and do just a couple of those so that you can see what they look like. So left foot first, cross, point, cross, point, cross, point. So we're going to do 2 of those. So we just did bump, bump. So we're going to do all, boom, that, boom. And for jazz, we're going to collect our feet, grind the hips with both hands doing our flourish. So that whole section, we were just here. We're going to shake apart, brand new start, collapse, point, jazz. Shake apart, brand new start, collapse, point, circles. All right, that's all of part 2. So let's do the whole part 2 with music. Here we go. Step, turn, step, turn. And hold, shake apart, forward, collapse, point, collapse, point, circles. And that is our part 2 choreography. Yay! Thank you guys so much. Remember to catch the class live Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock through the ChicagoDanceFactory.com website. And please check out all of the other classes that we currently have running. For as long as lockdown lasts, all of our classes are going to be free for everyone. So please check those out. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you for part 3.